Down to 7 Pacific.
What you out there? Yes, clear. Loud and clear.
Friendly fire!
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
I'm wearing a white shirt, even though I got a mean message last week.
No.
The only comment on our Spotify for the past 2 weeks was somebody saying, "Josh, we love you, but never wear white again." And I don't know what that. I know it's not a good thing. It's obviously not a good thing.
No, it's. I do like that it was layered with love, because it's like, I want you to know that I'm a fan, but also I want you to know that for some mysterious reason, I think you shouldn't wear white. I don't.
Now I want the honest critique.
The nipples?
It might be the nipples.
See,
it's not my fault. The nipples are not my
so
fault.
it is your fault.
Well, yeah, I tried to take steroids when I was 14. I tried to get jacked, and instead I got like fat nipples.
So that is your
acne.
fault. I mean, it's your fault in the way that you took the steroids. But okay. So one thing I noticed with that shirt, which we talked about later, the cut of it, it's like too tight right here.
Yeah.
Which I thought made you look jacked. But this person might have thought it made you look like you had tits.
I get tit comments a lot.
Yeah, you also talk about your tits all the time. You know what I mean?
I'm manifesting it.
That's the thing, is it is funny to be like, they keep saying this, and it's like you bring up your puffy nipples every episode.
Yeah, well, yeah, and then I shaved my head, and I got some people talking about how I'm finally going to get the keys to the yard in prison, which made me feel good.
Did you shave your head? Because it's so...
It grows back fast.
Really?
My hair was like that.
No, when? 'Cause
yeah.
I was only gone for like a week.
During that week.
I was gone for 10 days, and it was
You
that
saw
short?
it.
Yeah, at first I was like, man, he leaves for a week and you shave your head. What's wrong with you, bro?
Really?
100%.
That's crazy.
I just have good hair genetics. But I guess you could argue opposite though. It's like your hair's gonna grow back fast and thick, but it's gonna be red.
Yeah.
It's like, what would you rather? Would you rather be bald or?
It's really a yin or yang. It's really a yin and yang situation of like, it does grow back. It does grow back quickly and thick, but it is orange.
It is orange, and not in like because some redheads have like that hot red hair where it's like
have
rustic.
like really beautiful, like almost like an auburn kind of.
Yes. Like Christoph Jean has like a great red hair. I like the color of Christoph's.
Does yours?
Mine is like not quite orange.
Yeah, it looks burnt.
Yeah.
Yeah, like look at these beauties. Well, not sexy red, but like look at that. I mean, that's just. I like that you just Googled hot redhead. Imagine if you were on this.
That would make me.
Imagine if somewhere you were on this, and it would we clicked the article, and it was like a joke article.
Yeah, like slander.
Yeah, it was like a Onion article.
Yeah.
It was like new hottest redhead release, and it was just a picture of you.
Some of these guys are okay.
All right, ugly.
Now we're talking. Now we're talking.
All right,
speed.
wait. The Reddit one, I wouldn't call that person ugly.
What? That one. Oh, okay. I thought to the right I would go. That's probably more of a condition more than anything.
Most of these are conditions, aren't they?
Yes.
That is a thing. I think there's probably just a higher rate of redheads who have a condition than other hair colors. Do you think?
No, that's definitely not true.
What?
Statistically, it couldn't be. I mean, there's like 1% of the world has red hair. So
no, but I'm saying by population, like I forget what the term for it is, but like, yeah, you guys only. I'm not saying there's more disabled redheads than anything else, but I mean, it's like a per capita.
Per capita, you think more redheads have conditions than other skin tones?
I think so.
Do you think so? You probably think all black men look alike. Like, you think I look like another?
Mm-hmm. No, I don't think that. I wouldn't say that.
Yeah, because of that one video where the redhead is black now. But no, but I think.
Do redheads have worse health conditions? People with red hair may be more susceptible to certain health conditions and have altered pain sensitivity.
Yeah.
Well, okay. An increase in skin cancer, that makes sense. You have less melanin, Parkinson's, and endometriosis.
Endometriosis, that's something with skin as well.
Yeah. Do you experience pain at a higher dose? Like, are you sensitive to pain?
I guess I have no way to tell. Because I know what pain is for me.
True. But I've always felt like I have a pretty high pain threshold.
I don't know. I mean, I have nothing to compare it to. So I go like, I don't know. I don't know the last time I've cried from physical pain.
Yeah.
I can tell you the last time I cried from emotional pain, I watched a sad dog video on TikTok at 4 a.m. last night.
I cried yesterday too.
About what?
I teared up a little bit.
About what?
This guy read this thing at a meeting about death, and it was crazy. It was so emotional. I was like, shut up. Yeah, it was a poem called When I Die, which we will not read because it will alter
The trajectory of this podcast.
Yes,
Now,
truly it will change the podcast.
Dude, last night, Ariel flies in. She's been in
Oh,
Florida
yeah.
for a week. Her plane gets delayed. She's supposed to land in Austin, leave Florida at 6 p.m., get to Austin by 11 after the time change, whatever.
Mhm.
Her flight gets delayed 2 hours, so now she's landing at 1 a.m. She gets on a plane to go again. Now she's on the plane after they deboarded and they deplaned, and then they got another plane in there. She gets there on this next plane, and they're ready to take off. And out of nowhere, everybody has to deplane again, deboard. And there's a guy in the very back who snuck a lighter onto the plane, who's threatening to burn the flight attendants. So they had to deplane everybody.
They had to deport him.
They had to deport. They had to deport everybody.
They had to get another plane because they took that one immediately to El Salvador.
They went straight to Venezuela with that
They
one.
went, oh my God, we
They
have a terrorist on board with a Bic lighter.
And it's so funny though. They took, because apparently he was threatening to burn the flight attendants
and
to
that's
death.
funny because you know how hard it would be to burn somebody with a Bic lighter. Like it would be almost impossible because they could just be like, and it would be like over.
It's also and it's more of the fact that we haven't even left Fort Lauderdale, and you're pulling out a flighter. But apparently he got really drunk when they had to deplane the first time.
Yeah.
So then during that time he went to the bar, got blacked out, and then decided to be like,
Comes back, he's furious.
yeah, he's furious, and he's like sitting in the back. He's like, "I'll fucking burn this fucking place." And it is funny. Here's what I'll say. I think that about stuff like this, as an adult man, sometimes I'll have moments where I go like, I'd like to think that I would stand up first. Like if a situation like this happens, and then I was on if I'm on a plane and I think somebody's acting up, I'd like to think that I would have enough wherewithal and I guess courage to stand up, gumption. I would stand up and do the right thing. And I would confront the person and be like, "No, man, you're gonna get off this fucking plane, whatever."
Yeah.
And then
I'm an air marshal. Josh just starts lying again. Josh loves to lie in the face of adversity with a stranger and confrontation. Josh loves to lie. He's at one point been on parole.
I told a man I told a man I had children once.
You told a man you had children. I like to imagine you on an airplane being like, "I'm an air marshal. Get off the fucking plane." Like thinking you're doing the right thing, and then they arrest you for impersonating an air marshal.
But I have those moments where I like to think of that. And then sometimes I'm on a plane and I'm landing in Austin and my AirPod pops out and the guy next to me has Crocs on and he picks up the fucking AirPod with his toes and hands it to me and I just go, "Thank you so much."
Thanks, man. Yeah.
So I like to think that I'd stand up for something and then I can't even stand up for myself when a guy grabs my AirPod with his toes.
I like my move is just to kind of passively aggressively say something at a kind of normal volume. Like if somebody pops their shoes off and has them up on the seat, I'd be like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Like I'm not going, "Hey man, don't put your," I'm just gonna make them maybe aware that I'm a little upset and hope that they go, "Oh yeah, right, this is crazy." But I will never confront anybody.
Have you ever confronted anybody?
On an airplane or just in general?
In general, when was the last confrontation that started?
Outside of traffic, I don't really remember one. But in the car, I'm kind of a menace. I've been way better about it lately. But there was recently, I was in a little parking lot and I was coming around a turn going this way, and there was another car who took the inside lane. It wasn't a huge parking lot, but there was room. If you're going there, they go the outside, you go inside. And they came around that corner and I was going inside, so I slammed on my brakes and she slammed on her brakes and I went, "What the fuck?" And then I could see she started yelling at me. And then I was like, "I'm not wrong." And then she pulled up next to me. I rolled my window down and I was just yelling. I forget what I was yelling at her. And then she rolled her window down and she's like, you shouldn't be there. And I was like, "Learn how to drive, retard." And then she went, "Don't call me a retard." And I went, "Well, don't drive like one." And then I pulled off.
That's a good bit.
Actually, okay. actually, the most recent, I was also in a car. It was at Barton Springs. I've been doing a bit about this last week, but it was a real story where I was. You still haven't been to Barton Springs, have
and
you?
I'll never go.
Okay, and that's fine. It's one of my favorite places in the world, but the parking lot is a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, it's Fallujah.
It's Fallujah. Half of it's gravel, which just adds to it. There's not a lot of. I've learned peace and serenity in that parking lot, and then I've learned that if you stalk people, you can find their parking spot. You can wait, whatever. So I was waiting, and then I was waiting for a parking spot. I'm pulled off as far to the side as I could. There was room next to me, but it was tight, and the car behind me was honking at me as I was waiting for a parking spot in a parking lot, in a crowded parking lot. So I was like, okay, I'm not doing anything wrong. They honk at me again. I just put my hands up, and I can see in the rear view that they're like this. And then the guy in the passenger seat's leaning over and hitting the horn. So I put my hand out of the window and flip them off. And then they start flipping me off. And then eventually the car leaves. I pull into the parking spot. They drive by and they stop in front of me and are all flipping me off. And it's like a car of like 6 17-year-olds. Like it's a bunch of children. So I'm immediately like frightened. Because you think you're big and tough until you're outnumbered. I was so outnumbered. Like there's zero chance. Like if I had, these 17-year-olds would have whooped my fucking ass.
Yeah.
They're young, they're hot, they already had their shirts off. Mm-hmm. They're like buff with like the broccoli haircut, and they're just all like flipping me off, and like they're laughing at me as if I did something wrong, which really pisses me off. I felt like I was like the weird guy at a mall, and like kids were making fun of me. I was like, no, I'm just like here to get my Jamba Juice. I'm not doing anything wrong.
You got bullied.
And I really did get bullied. So whatever, I flip them off and they drive off. And then I go inside, I lay my towel down, and then they all come in and they are right next to me. And I don't think that they realized it, but you
should have been like, do you know who you're fucking with?
So there was a part of me that wanted every bit of the smoke. I wanted to be like, hey, by the way, you should learn to drive your fucking car. And then I was like, Matt, it doesn't matter. You're inside. This is a place of peace for you. You're in the sun, there's water, this is your favorite place, whatever, just like chill out. And then one of them pulled out an acoustic guitar. Listen, I for real think that if you force an acoustic guitar on a bunch of people against their consent, that you should be sent to El Salvador. I really think there's not a punishment harsh enough for you. I think you should I really cut this out 13 minutes, but I really think if you're going to take advantage of my ear holes that way, for real, you're going to invade my holes like that. I'm going to invade yours. You know what I mean? And I don't care that you're a 17-year-old boy. I was just going to get there. I don't care that you're a 17-year-old boy. I'm a Roman right now. I really feel that way about it.
Yeah, they got to pay their dues.
It pisses me off.
They got to pay their dues.
They got to pay their dues.
Hey,
they did not check in.
Yeah, you didn't check in. You're going to play a guitar. You're going to get a little butt fucked.
Bro, none of the people know how to do. People who bring their guitar in public don't know how to play it properly. They never do. They can never play a whole song. I don't understand the purpose. What are you trying to get pussy here? You know what I mean?
Well,
do you
17-year-olds.
Yeah, I guess. But it's do you think somebody's going to be like, wow, you're so talented? It's no, everybody's bothered by you.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Sorry. That's my rant. I shouldn't have said the R word about those kids.
No, you should.
Figuratively.
Yeah, we're not.
Well, I'm trying to convey that I truly don't think there's a punishment harsh enough for somebody forcing their acoustic guitar on me in public.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. No, I think you should. I like your stance. I think that you should look in the camera and say that you want to do it. What was the word you said about the 17-year-olds that you wanted to do?
No.
Can we talk about game night last night, by the way? Because I've been stewing about it.
Josh was going crazy at game night last night.
And I wasn't even on.
So here's the thing.
I was at a 4 out of 10.
I am usually the menace at game night. We start playing categories, and I feel like I might have talked about this briefly before. Where categories gets very heated. There's a lot of rules. There's a lot of exceptions to certain
It's
rules.
just so subjective.
There's a lot of rules, but there's a lot of subjectivity to the rules. There's a voting process. There's all sorts of things, and I usually end up getting pretty heated about it at some point. I invited Josh last night, and he came and made me look like Mary Magdalene, dude. You made me look like a saint. You were amped up about odd noises, dude. You could not get over odd noises. Have you ever played categories?
So here's how it works. You roll a dice.
You're the expert.
You roll a dice, and that dice it's got all the letters of the alphabet. It lands on the letter P. Then you get a list of it's like a bunch of prompts, and it's like then you have to match the prompts with a word that starts with that letter. So it's like, okay, so if the letter's P, it'd be like places you can go to, and then you'd be like Paris, and then
Right.
everybody takes turns, and at the same time everybody writes down answers to 12 of these prompts, all using the same letter. Then everybody is wrong afterwards. That's they sit there, and you're supposed to argue your point. And if somebody says the same word, is if you've come up with the same word, neither of you get a point.
So the idea is that you are forced in a time frame to come up with the answer that you can quickest. But if somebody else has that, like, so Paris might be an answer that a lot of people would put. So
you want to go Peru.
You might want to go wild, and that the clock ticking down and that pressure makes you, and then being like the fact that you have to use that specific letter puts you in positions where you write really weird, kind of obscure things sometimes. And then if it's not just obvious and objective that like that is the correct answer, other people can go, I don't know about that. You kind of have to argue your point. And in the end, it's a democracy. Everybody gets to vote whether or not they will, as a group, accept your answer or not. And that really ruffles some feathers, especially in Josh's neck of the woods.
I think this was the biggest bullshit answer that I've ever fucking heard in my fucking life.
Okay, so here's what it was. The letter was O. So everything that you write down has to start with an O. And the prompt that I wrote odd noises down for was something in a mystery novel. So I wrote odd noises. My initial thought was like a spooky noise, a scary noise, whatever, but I had to make it O, so I wrote odd noises. And Josh was unwilling, multiple rounds later, by the way. He was bringing it back up and just couldn't accept that odd noises might be something that is something that's in a mystery novel.
And here is what believe me, I've thought about it.
I'm sure
for
you have.
15 hours. It's too open. It's too open-ended. Now, if you say ominous noises, you give me a strong adjective, you make your case.
That's the thing, though. There's not a difference between odd and ominous, dude. It's descriptive.
It's at least academia. We're not throwing out the word. We're not throwing out three-letter words.
What?
What's up? So here's what pisses me off. Things that would be in a mystery novel, I could put old people. And then it's like,
yeah.
But that doesn't make any
that.
fucking sense.
And here's the thing. Here's the beauty of the game. There's a reality where you could go old people, and everybody might go, yeah, that would be in a mystery novel. Yeah, a character could very easily be an old person, and everybody passes up. But if you've been annoying for a couple rounds, some people could go, I don't know if old people is a thing that would just objectively be in a mystery novel. And then you argue your point, and everybody at the end gets to take a vote. I pretty unanimously got odd noises passed. And here's why. Because in a mystery, I was literally, by the way, a couple hours before this at Barton, I've been reading a collection of Edgar Allan Poe short stories, right?
Okay.
And the final 3 pages of this spooky story that I was reading were about these weird and odd noises that kept happening. And while Edgar Allan Poe may not be classified as mystery, this specific story, the crescendo at the end of like what's happening was trying to solve what these noises are. The odd noises of figuring out what's going on is a very common thing in a mystery novel. and then he was furious about it, and then somehow ominous would be fine. Which really
at least you're
just
taking
dissolves,
a fucking risk.
It really
At least you're taking a risk with the word ominous.
Odd
is such a blank nothing adjective.
That's not true.
That is insane.
Because what if I had said outside noises?
I'll give you that.
That's crazy.
No, it's not.
That's fucking
It's
crazy.
so different.
You're gonna give me outside
Yes.
noises over. You're gonna
least you
tell
have
me
some
that a squirrel making a noise in a mystery novel makes more sense than an odd noise. Leaves rustling in the breeze makes more sense to you than a spooky odd noise.
At least you didn't use a 3-letter word.
See,
that's
the
what
thing,
trips
though.
me up about it. Some of them sit
Semantics.
so wrong with me.
Semantics.
It's like use a noun or use a strong adjective, or it's just when we're going so vague, and I know I'm not saying that
hate
word
the way
right.
you say that word, but
It's
fine.
just way too fucking. It's just
But
orange plates
so
are
here's
in a mystery novel. And then you
No,
go, no. And then I
no.
go, but they're mysterious.
No,
If you had an
no,
orange
but
plate
the
in a
thing is,
mysterious novel, I
what
would go, why is it there? It's
you-
orange and it's
you
weird.
have to know that what you're saying doesn't make sense.
Odd
You-
noises is the epitome of it's like, did you even give a fuck, man?
Here's the thing. Here's
Did you
the
even
thing.
give a fuck?
What did you write down?
Oracles.
And we gave him that.
Because that would make sense.
We
It's a
gave
mys-
him
it's a mys-
oracles.
oracles, because it's a mysterious story. Oracles are mysterious. They give you fortunes, they're prophets, and they're telling, they're
so
seeing
an
futures.
odd noise is not mysterious in any way.
An odd noise has no life.
That's
An
it's
odd-
a noise. What
odd
the fuck
noise-
is an oracle?
Odd noise, you might as well throw paint on a canvas and call yourself an artist if you're saying odd noise is a good word for the category mysterious.
It is.
And
Odd
mysterious
is
stories.
good.
Give me a better word.
See, here's the thing. This
Give
is the
me
thing
a
that
better
kept,
word.
This is the thing that kept coming up for Josh, which is that he simply didn't find it good enough for his completely made up barometer for what was interesting enough of a word. A lot of the times he would just go, I don't like that. The rest of the group is like, that fits, that makes sense, you answered that correctly, and Josh would just be like, I don't like that one. And then at one point, Kat had to be like, well, this game isn't what Josh does and doesn't like.
Yeah.
Well, those aren't the rules don't say, does Josh like it?
The number of words that people were just, kind of disrespecting me with.
Here's the thing.
I mean,
that is the fun of the game, is that you're put in a pressurized situation where you're forced to think of a letter and fit it into this thing. And then sometimes you have to argue against it. And I commend you for being that person that always had a problem with everybody's. But what happens is he would say, I have a problem with that. I made my argument for odd noise. Unanimously, everybody except Josh was like, yeah, that works here. That's totally fine. And then he would bring it back up later as if I didn't already get the point.
Here is the issue. It would be like if right now you go, something in this room that starts with the letter B, and then I say black cord. And it's like, sure.
Yeah,
go with a word that is that.
Well, so that's the thing, though.
The adjective should not be acceptable for the answer.
But there is
brick.
There is a black cord in here.
Yeah, but there's a brick.
This is a
Use the
black
B
cord.
as not the. It shouldn't be the descriptor. It should be the thing itself.
This is the thing, though.
It should be
Josh. This is the thing, though. You did not
big
create the
titties
rules.
are in this fucking room, I guess.
Yeah, yours.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Here's
it's like big
here's
titties.
the crux of the issue.
It's different than bricks because bricks are in here. You're just using a word to tack onto another word.
So here is the crux of the issue.
You get what I mean?
So here's the thing, though, Josh. I have 2 points I would like to make. First off, if the titties are big, they are big titties, which starts with a B.
No, they're tits that are big.
Yeah. And how would you describe that? You'd say those are big tits.
That's why those tits are huge.
And those are in here. And you could say it that way, but you could also say it the other way.
I'd
That
be
would
wrong.
make it start with a B. No, you wouldn't be wrong. You would just be saying it a different way. I think the crux of the issue is that unfortunately you were not the creator of the game's categories. I think that's the crux of this issue is that Josh unfortunately was many years behind in creating the rules and game categories.
The issue is that you guys were being out of your fucking mind.
No, Josh. Okay.
It was crazy. Somebody at one point said, what was it? Things that scare you. And somebody put Nigerian telephone scammers.
Yeah.
What the fuck are we talking about?
Yeah.
No.
That could scare you.
When is the last time that you were walking down an alley and you go,
Right.
oh, there's a Nigerian telescammer right
Fear
there?
is way different than that. But what
How many words can you have?
Well, see, this is the thing where it's...
there
because-
is no limit, but it has to be, it's got to be like adjective and then like now. It can't just be, you can't write a full sentence that begins with that letter. Like, I don't have the rules on me.
No, but they were
like-
trying to, by the way. For the record, they were trying. You guys were trying to sneak some things
And
past
that's
me.
the thing is sometimes that's the point of the fucking game, Josh, is that sometimes you slide those things in because that's all you could think of because there was a timer running and you couldn't think of anything and you go, I wonder if I can slide this past them. And if you can't, you have to argue for it. That's what it is. Number of words is allowed as long as the first word.
Now, ask if you can use adjectives for this because we
course
didn't
you-
Google.
We read the fucking rules, bro.
Can you use
And
adjectives?
I would also like to point out for anybody listening, this was Josh's first time playing categories. We have all played many, many times. Boom. You can use adjectives if they are essential to the category and the letter. Okay, let's see. However, for example, the category is cars, and the letter is
Wait,
B.
try to say
Blue
that word.
BMW could be acceptable because BMW is a specific type of car, but simply blue car might not be.
And that's-
might not be.
But that's
the thing, dude.
That's what they're blue car to me is odd noises. Do you understand what I mean by this?
Here's the thing, though.
Where it's like it'd be one thing if you went ominous sounds. At least I go. At least you got some fucking grit behind
It's
that
the
answer.
descriptor. It's the descriptive word.
At least you showed up for the
It's
game.
the descriptive word of noises. It's not just the fact that noises is the thing. It's that they're odd. They're like interesting. They're like, what is that? That's the whole thing.
It's here.
we on
It's
ChatGPT?
ChatGPT.
This
Check with
pisses me off,
check
dude.
check with the fucking Elon Musk himself over here. Who runs ChatGPT?
What was the question for it again?
Is odd noises?
Things in a mystery novel.
Yeah, and here's the thing.
Categories.
Who runs ChatGPT?
In categories, the key is whether your answer is creative and can be reasonably defended within the category. See, arguably yes, because mystery novels often feature odd noises as clues or moments of tension. It fits both the thing aspect, conceptually, it's a type of event or occurrence, and is relevant to the genre. It starts with the letter O. This was exactly my argument and exactly why everybody else agreed with me.
Yeah, but then scroll down.
I am turning a page on AI.
The screen then, will it always be accepted? In casual play, probably, especially if you can justify it like above. However, in competitive or strict play, it might be challenged for being vague or abstract. Some people expect more concrete nouns like orb, operation, or officer, but you can counter by saying odd noises are a recognizable trope in mysteries. Now, I am of the later half where if we're playing the game, we're going... We gotta be intelligente.
No,
we
dude,
can't just go.
You don't think?
You can't just be like.
No, you keep coming back to the same point over and
Things
over.
that could be my
and
pants.
All it
Poop.
is. No, you're wrong. You make the worst arguments in the world, bro. It's crazy.
I'm trying to come up with an example
because I just feel like odd noises to me is blue car, where we're like, if you say the word ominous, I give it to you
But so
1,000 out
here's
of
the
1,000
thing. Here's the
times.
thing. Blue car. It depends what the prompt is, and this is all already saying. I mean, first off, it just made the argument perfectly for me, which is that it is very often used to do it. But here's okay. So too vague or abstract, not a proper noun or specific item, could be dismissed as too generic, not a thing. It could be, which is why.
That's what I was trying to articulate. By the way. Computers are taking our jobs. That's
they
crazy.
really are. I know.
I couldn't find the words for that, but that's exactly why I don't like it.
So here's the thing, though. Here is what the game is, and this is why I said the crux of the problem is that Josh did not write the rules or create the game. He doesn't like the fact that even though he came up with an argument, which is that I find it too vague, which is how you say that word, he brought that to the tribe, and then the tribe heard my argument, which was basically what ChatGPT set up at the top, and everybody went, yeah, I think this works, and they all voted, and then you have to move on.
They had a recency
That
bias,
is
though. I
how
want to say
it
this because I
goes.
also won the previous round with 10 points, and everybody was. I think they were afraid of me. And I think they knew what I was going to be capable of.
I don't
and
think
so they
that
went,
has anything
and so
to
then
do
they
with
went.
it.
We got to
And
start giving people. We got to
here's the
dish out
thing
points.
about
Does
it,
a
bro.
newcomer win the game?
I lost. I got last out of everybody.
Yeah, and I got second, and I'm still mad about it.
I flubbed the first round, and it haunted me. It came back. It came back to bite me. And so it wasn't even that. It was just like, yeah, it's the thing. I want to move on from the odd noises one, and I want to go. So the first time I ever played this, you didn't see, but I'm sure you can imagine, Spencer was not in full effect last night.
Yeah, I could tell. Everybody was making me feel like I was going crazy. I was at a 4 out of 10.
I was really, really enjoying your energy a lot. The truth is, I spent all day in the sun and I got nauseous from all you can eat sushi, and I started to get a headache, and I really didn't have the fire in me that I usually have. So that being said, the first time I ever played, I think we played like 4 rounds, I beat Spencer by 1. Now, in the final round, which really pissed him off, in the final round, there was a prompt that was something you could find in the refrigerator, and our letter was L, and I wrote leche. And
I like that answer. That's a good answer.
see, that's the thing. So the thing is like, this is where the voting process, the democracy of
It's cultural. That
categories
answer's a cultural
is
answer.
it's right. It's a thing of like, is everybody gonna let it? That letter starts with L, and milk would be in your fridge. That's just where it goes.
And so is leche.
But leche is what are you talking? Wait, what are you talking about?
Leche would be in your fridge.
Leche is milk.
I know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
okay.
what I'm saying.
All right,
I'm just
cool.
saying it in a bad way because I'm white and from Iowa.
Right. Okay.
And then Josh is the first Hispanic man I've ever met.
So
Mi español es más o menos, pero yo no sé cómo se dice faggot en español.
wow, good one. I like that you
wanna
still
know?
snuck that in.
Sí.
No,
Maricon.
Maricón?
Yeah, that is how you say it. So
Maricón.
So everybody, this was a classic categories debate, which is that everybody was like, yeah, okay, that works. And then later, Spencer, when he's lost by 1,
Yep.
he was
So
like, I just don't know if that can pat. Like, that's crazy to me. And it even got brought up like multiple game nights later, where it's like this, but you used a word that wasn't English. But the thing is that nowhere in this category's rules does it say you have to use an English word.
But here's what gets me going with that prompt, because okay, things in the refrigerator, and here's where I go. We have to have some fucking cojones when we answer these questions, and we have to stand for something. We can't just be so gray. Because if you go something in your fridge and the letter is C, and you go cold sushi, and it's like, sure.
So now that might be a scenario where people do argue that's again the democracy. People might go, everything in a fridge is cold, so you can't say cold this, and everybody. That's the thing, is it's not just an object. It's very subjective.
That's why it sucks. Because we need objectivity. We need objectivity in a game to compete in.
That is what creates the conversation we've been having for the last 20 minutes.
Right, but it's not art.
What are you talking about? Subjectivity is art. Objectivity is the complete lack of art.
No, I'm saying.
No, but you want it to be objective.
I'm saying we're not doing. When you're playing a game, it's not art. It should be objective. There should be a clear winner and a clear loser, and it shouldn't be based off of weird subjective
No,
council votes that are,
you are
by the way,
missing-
biased because everybody comes in there and they're jealous. I come in there first night.
Nobody's
I
jealous
come in
of
there
Josh.
first night.
Josh lost the cat by like 10 points.
By the way,
Cat
I
blew
come
us
in.
out of the water.
First of all, I come in there and I'm very happy, and everybody knows that I'm in a good mood. And then so I think I start intimidating them, and they go, "Josh is going to be a problem tonight with this energy. I know that he's going to have. I know he's going to win in his categories. So now everybody's conspiring against me immediately. Also, I had tight jeans on, so my ass looked insane. So I think that people are starting. Now we're talking about. Now it's not even just about the game, and it's about or my energy. Now Now we're at a deeper root, which is yeah. You guys wished you had tight hip flexors, and I just can't fuck with that.
I do have tight hip flexors.
Yeah, not
It's
as
been
tight
a-
as mine, pussy. Keep
It's
up.
been a fucking problem for me. I don't have pants as tight as yours
Yeah, you
because I have manly quads that would not fit in tight pants like that, and huge calves from being athletic and jumping high.
Now here's the thing: the power that it exists into my ass,
It's crazy. I know.
and we
I'm
can't
aware.
even quantify it.
No, we
and I'm
truly
so
couldn't.
excited to go do this podcast after this. By the way, where we're gonna be playing catch with CJ Landry.
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy, are you guys about to see me fucking hike the fucking ball, dude. Something little thing about Josh you didn't know by looking at me? I can long snap a fucking football.
I used to be a long snapper, used to be a center as well for 2 years.
I can place hold, I can place kick. I
will say this, Josh, just to end this categories combo. I think you are missing what makes categories fun. You want everything to be, it would be so boring if for every person's answer, you could go into the rule book and go, yes, no, yes, no. That makes it not, what makes it fun is that there is a little bit of subjectivity to it. There is the voting process. And then within the voting process, there's very much a human, like tribal thing where if you're 50-50 on whatever that person is saying and you're next and you know that your answer is also a little weird, you might not vote against that person because you know that you need their vote when it comes to your answer. And that is literally you want to suck the heart and soul out of categories.
Now here's the thing: are we playing politics or are we playing categories?
We're playing
Because we should
categories.
be playing a game. If we're playing a game,
We're
I wanna
playing a
win,
game.
and I want it to be. Not only do I want to win, I want it to be so clear cut and dry.
Well, that's the thing, is that winning takes more than just my answer fits in the rules. You have to have the right energy. You got to vote against and with the right people if it comes down to that.
They try to take down a Titan.
What is going to happen?
You guys had to conspire to take down a Titan.
We did not have to conspire at all.
It was insane. You should have seen it. They were all texting. They were all texting each other too. They have a group chat that I'm not in, by the way. And it's like, oh, I thought I was a part of this friend group, but I guess everybody has a group chat without me. And big night for me. I finally get invited to game night, and then everybody corners me and goes, "No, we're gonna accept odd noises."
Yeah, see,
it's crazy.
This is
it's crazy. Just when you think you know somebody for 5 years, all of a sudden they want to throw out the word odd noises and just throw the friendship out of the window. I thought I knew you better, man.
I honestly thought that given that you're an English literature major,
exactly, that's the issue.
And
I was
best
smarter than
friend,
everybody.
that you would understand.
I'm such an idiot.
You would understand the classic literary use of noises in a mystery novel to create tension. We pull that article back up.
Listen,
to create tension.
No,
to
here's
create
the
tension
thing.
and
what about
suspense?
Spooky noises. You give me spooky, I'm giving you points if you say spooky.
Well, here's the thing. The letter was an S, you idiot.
But that's what the whole point that I'm making is that you had no soul with the answer. The answer stood for nothing.
Like the word odd.
It's just too open-ended.
No, it's not.
It's like
odd
a blank.
is very
It's a blank
specific.
check that can fit any word.
That's not true
It's
at all.
Odd curtain, odd brick, odd future, odd shit, odd bitch sucking on my dick, odd clear.
I knew freestyle was coming. I could feel the flow coming out of his little ginger soul.
But that's the black man in me. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I
shit, we
start arguing
we
about a category,
Got a
man.
black man on this podcast.
Hey, but what we can do is go on for another 20. We had another 25 minutes. I can argue about this all fucking
I know,
night,
but
bro.
I already feel like we've gone into a loop of the argument. I just want at this point, for anybody who didn't tune out 10 minutes ago, going, how long could they possibly talk about categories? So just let us know what you think. And here's the thing, because I'm an artist, I don't want it to be an objective, what do you think about this? I just want to know what you think in general about the conversation we've had. Do you find that the fun in categories is the lack of objectivity with the rules? Or have you ever played categories?
Or
do you think Josh is wrong? Do you think I'm right?
And you have to also ask yourself, what type of man are you? Are you just the type of person that gets pushed over, pushed around?
Are you the type of guy?
Are you going to get bullied?
No. Are you the type of guy who's willing to stand for what he believes in, even if it means ruining the first game night that he's ever? No. And he didn't ruin it. It was very fun.
No, but here's the issue. I didn't ruin it. You all ruined it.
No.
You all ruined it for me.
You're going to blame the 5 other people?
You guys all ruined it for me.
You're so selfish. We ruined it for
selfish.
you.
You're only concerned about your answer, not whether or not it makes sense in the context of every
I refuse to argue
nipples.
for my answer. Again, that doesn't make sense, Josh.
If there was a mystery novel and it was about the boy who cried nipple and
you're
it was about
literally being stupid. You're literally being dumb.
And you're being too open-ended.
If there was a very I'm not even going to do that. I'm not even going to do this. We can talk about something else. No.
I win.
I think that I think I've made an intelligent argument here. I think even the wealth of knowledge that ChatGPT has even kind of proved my point pretty well.
But we're also cherry picking because ChatGPT also backed me up.
No, ChatGPT hardly backed you up.
There was 4 bullets
ChatGPT said
for both.
That there is an argument that it could maybe not be accepted, and one of those said that it was if it was in competitive
1 second
play.
right there. It's a 50-50 shot at passing.
Yeah. Depends on who's judging and how well you defend it.
And
the people who judged and me defending it made it pass.
And you're right. And you know what?
That's the problem that you have.
No, here's what I will say. I do at least. We did have a small sample size, so that it does make me kind of think. We did take a niche set of the subject. So.
There were 6 people.
You're right.
A lot of people.
Right, but that's
and
not.
They,
but that's
you
not.
got out. It wasn't like it was 2 to 4, and you go, "Oh, if I had one more vote,
right, but that's
it would have been tied."
subcategory.
It was 1 against 5.
I'm curious for the masses. I would be curious about the subset of people who hang out with each other weekly.
Okay.
And now I'm attacking the tribe leader.
Yeah,
I'm asserting my own dominance.
I would love to hear if anybody has a game night where they play categories. If this was the
Should have just played Scrabble.
If they Scrabble would be so boring.
Scrabble's sick. You just haven't pulled out like a 35-point word.
I used to play Words with Friends all the time.
Words with Friends was all right.
It was pretty good. That was fun.
Fun Run was big in my high school.
You know how you could just like message other people on that app?
Yeah.
I loved just.
What about, okay, here's a fun one. How I shot my shot on a girl. Do you remember?
Whoa.
Do you remember Draw With Me?
No.
What was that? Draw With Me? Do you remember this app? It was like draw. You would fill in. Okay, so it'd be like, I think it was called Draw With Me, right? Was it Draw With Me? Right.
It's going to take you to the Apple Store.
Yes, this game.
So it's a thing where which one?
The second one to the right, where somebody would, or wait, what was it called?
Where you would
when you would draw a thing and people had to guess the letters.
Oh.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, but
it was like Hangman, but like via text, whatever.
Okay.
And what the fuck was it? Where you would draw, whatever. It doesn't matter. It was like Draw With Me or something. Anyways, I was in high school and I drew I jokingly sent a girl that I liked a photo of a penis with a question mark. And then she screenshotted it and said, "What does this mean?" And I went, and then I immediately went, "Sorry, my brother took my phone for that one." Sorry, that was my brother. That wasn't me that sent that.
Bro, you know what's so crazy? The first not nude, but first like sexy photo I ever received was when I was probably in 6th or 7th grade, and I had there was a group of girls at this other school.
She was a little too young.
No, I mean, now as a 31-year-old, that's why I said it wasn't a nude. I remember who it was because I'm still really good friends with her. She might even listen to this. And it was a picture of her in like underwear.
Oh, sick. Yeah, let's go.
And calm down, she was 12. She's
in this scenario, I would have been 11 in that scenario.
So genuinely what happened, so I had a huge crush on one of her friends named Sammy Smallwood. And yeah, I know.
That's crazy.
And she also has a little brother, God bless him. And yeah, that sucks. So
the jokes.
Dude, like such a big crush, and we had finally been like talking or whatever, right? And my friend Miles legitimately, we were on the way to Texas to play basketball. He took my phone and messaged this girl and asked her for a picture, and she sent it. And then, which I was, I wasn't upset about, but I was just like, oh, nice. And then Sammy found out about it and like ended things with me. Oh. And it was it could have possibly been the only time in human history that somebody said, sorry, my friend took my phone. And it was actually what happened.
And it ruined your relationship.
It ruined.
Your life trajectory legitimately could be different.
I never got a chance with Sammy ever again.
Because what if Sammy Smallwood was like, what if you guys really clicked?
I know.
And then like, what if she would be Mrs. Ross now?
I know. What if it was Sammy? What if she was Sammy Ross now? And I was.
And you're in the Smallwood family.
I live. I'm going to change the trajectory of that family. We're no longer the Smallwoods.
Sammy pretty solid size wood.
Yeah. Sammy, totally normal wood.
Yeah, Sammy, it's like nothing to write home about, but like it's not nothing to complain about either. Wood.
Yeah.
I mean, Smallwood is a crazy, unfortunate last name. We didn't even have my last name is Francis, obviously, and then people growing up used to call me Josh French Kiss, which I never really bothered me. But then there was a kid whose last name was Wayner, and everybody used to call him
Wiener.
And here's the thing, and that whole thing is gonna get cut out at 46 minutes, and we're gonna cut that out. I should have committed, or I shouldn't have done it at all. And now I'm gonna text you. And then what was the other thing that we had to cut too?
About 13 minutes, I said the R word a couple times.
Oh yeah.
The RA word, not the RE word.
And if you can't put that together, the RE word.
Anyways, wait, what'd you say?
I don't know if you can't put what RA is versus RE. You're the RE.
You know what you're.
Hey, and the jokes just write themselves, folks. You guys think this shit's easy, huh?
Just to take a break in the middle of the podcast. What, you guys think this shit's easy? You think it's easy to talk to your best friend for an hour straight with no interruptions? Make it funny? Motherfuckers.
Oh, man. No, let me think what else happened.
Well, I was in Raleigh. We didn't talk about that because Cam and Sean were on the last episode.
Fuck.
I don't really have anything fun to report, but I was there.
Raleigh.
It's Raleigh, actually.
Raleigh
it's
be the city
Raleigh.
where we like to do the dance. Flex to the left, throw some money out your hands. Do it
I don't know
for
what
the
song
city,
that
and
is.
we do it for the. And everybody do the John Wall. Wall.
Come on, man.
And then they go like this.
Yeah, I was there. It was fun. I
Finger girl did that song
the whole time that I
last week.
the whole time that I was there. What?
Said I fingered a girl to that song, and then I said last week.
Hilarious.
How funny would it be if I was like, babe?
John Wall. John.
After 5 years of dating, she's like, I'm leaving you.
Yeah,
Sorry,
that
keep
might
going.
break her.
No, I'm so sorry.
I was staying. So first off, they put me in a nice hotel, which was a real come up from the La Quinta in St. Pete. Have I told that on the story? Have I told the money debacle on the pod?
You didn't solve it, so let's give it. We can run it back.
So I might have told the story, which is that when I was in St. Pete, there was a race there. So the club that I went to it was like filled the whole city. So they put me at a hotel they normally wouldn't have, and it was a La Quinta. And calling it a hotel is actually incorrect. The door into my room directly went to outside. So I believe that is exactly what makes it a motel. And then the view was the parking lot, which often had people without shirts on in it, and then a highway. And not even a good highway. It was like a east to west bullshit highway. It wasn't like I-95 or anything crazy, right?
Yeah, fuck those east to west.
You don't want. It's like, who even cares about? It's like,
go
whatever.
north, go south, be something.
Yeah, be something. Yeah, exactly. So, the last night when I was packing, I had a realization that I didn't know where my money was. I brought cash because I paid for my tattoo with it, and then I got some merch money, so I had added back to the cash, and it was about $700 or something like that. I'm not trying to brag, and I had a moment after I had packed, I was like, fuck, I haven't seen it. So I start looking everywhere. I look through all my shit, I unpack all my shit, I can't find it. I'm furious. I called the police. I filed a police report. They come out, they talk to me, I tell them what happened, and I got back to my room. I lied. I got back to my room. The do not disturb sign was knocked off my door. I came in, nothing had been moved. But there was like a hole in the wall, and like somebody had obviously like been in here, but it wasn't like destroyed, and I can't find my money. So he took all this information, whatever, talked to the guy at the front. The guy was like, the manager has access to the cameras. She's not going to be in until tomorrow, so I'll have to check. And so he gave me all the information, and I was like talking to the guy, and he was cool. And I was like, man, it just sucks that it's cash. And he looked at me, and he was basically like, yeah, like there's like basically nothing we can do, but whatever, right? So I take the L. It's a pretty big L. So I'm getting ready to go to Raleigh, and I'm going to Florida first, and then I'm going to Raleigh, and I'm packing my golf bag, and you'll never believe what was in there. It was my money, which turns out it was $400, which I thought was pretty interesting. And then I had to just really face the reality of all the lies that I told. Because so I called Logan, my manager, and I was like, you'll never believe what I just found. And she said, if it's the money that you had stolen from you, I'm going to kill you. And I was like, yeah, I found that. And she was like, remember when you filed a police report? Like, it was like so embarrassing. And then she asked the question that I really hoped she wouldn't ask, which is, so what happened with that hole in the wall of your hotel? And I had to go, I went full white guy, and I went full white guy and punched a hole in the wall and blamed it on an intruder. I was so furious, dude. And it wasn't like it was just like I was by the front, and I had just realized I just kind of like that, and I mean it was a La Quinta, so I just went straight through it, dude. It was like
you went through 4 walls.
I almost went outside, like I was like, you know. And so basically, long story short, I was able to get away with vandalizing a La Quinta, and all I had to do was file a police report.
Hey, every time I go to a La Quinta with my lady, I vandalize that motherfucker. What are we doing? I'm jizzing on the ground.
So yeah, that was that. It was pretty embarrassing. It is a huge come up to find that money again, though.
It's a huge come up, and you know what? Fuck the La Quinta.
Fuck the La Quinta. I do wonder though, because I know that there's 2 possibilities. There's a possibility that because of what it was and all that, like the police never followed back up. The people at the hotel, I never followed back up. I never called. There's a good chance they never even looked at the tape. There's also a chance that they looked at the tape and they went, nobody went into this room the whole time that he was gone. Because what happened is the wind blew the do not disturb sign off my door handle, obviously. And like, that's just, it was windy. It was Florida. Like it was, you know,
there's also a possibility that they arrested some man and deported him. You might have got somebody sent to El Salvador.
Some guy went into my room because he missed the thing and then was in there for a minute and started to clean up and then went, oh shit, wait, maybe I'm not. And then he was like, oh great, oh, okay. And then he walked out and now he's in El Salvador.
Yeah.
Which, you know, I don't know. No, I actually think that's awful. But I had one of my more embarrassing. I mean, it's a great come up though. It's a huge come up, and then it really made me very cautious. And the hotel in Raleigh was really nice, and I stayed by this big clock tower that was beautiful. I talked about it at every show, and then after the Friday early show, the second show of the weekend, a guy came up to me, gay guy who follows me, which is very nice, and he came up and he went, "Just so you know, there's only one hotel by there, so."
Everybody knows.
Don't keep. I said it the whole weekend. I was kind of like, you know, I'm not famous enough to like not dox myself. And honestly, if I went back to my hotel later and there was like a fan in the lobby who was like, I knew it was this hotel, I would be so flattered.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be concerned at all. I would be like, let's take a selfie. You want to come upstairs?
I got categories.
I got categories. You ready to get pissed off?
Are you ready to file another police report after I punch a hole through the wall?
Yeah.
You know what? This is like another fun of one of my like OCD meltdowns that I've done.
Love it.
It was like one of these first, like there's like once you get the diagnosis, you look back at things and you're like, oh yeah, that was me being a freak. Mm-hmm. That was my OCD kicking in. When I was like 17, I was driving through the park at night. This is when I was in like full, like, cause I had like full OCD panic attacks when I was like 17 that I didn't realize were like I'm talking like I would like check to make sure there was no bodies in the trunk of my car before going to bed.
I recall.
And one time I was driving to the park. I was driving through East Park in Mason City, Iowa, and I looked and there was a bag as I was driving through the park. I just saw like a bag on on the basketball court, and I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. And I kept driving, and then I went, what if there was like a bomb in that bag? So then I called in. I called 911 and was like, there's like an unattended bag on the basketball court in East Park. And it's like midnight, by the way. I'm like calling on like a Friday at midnight. And I'm like,
prime time to bomb a public park.
Yeah. And so I call them. And then as I'm having this call, I'm realizing I was like, it kind of sounds like I could have been the one that planted it because it's like so random, you know? So then when they go like, all right. And then they were like, what's your name? And they asked me to provide the name. And I hung up. And then I kept driving, and then I went, that seems like I for sure planted it. so then I called back and went, hey, I just want to let you know, I got disconnected. My name is Josh Francis. I was the one that reported the bag that was there. And they were like, okay, we're going to send a unit out there. And then I was like, okay. And then I started to drive, and then I had the fear that if I didn't like go there, it would like explode, like it would explode. And like the officer would like, I would be there, he would get injured, and I wasn't there to help him and like relay information. So I drove back, and when I drove back, I watched some guy that was like smoking a cigarette that I couldn't see walk up and grab his bag. And then I called back again and went, never mind, the guy took a bag. And the guy whoever owned the bag got the bag and like left. And then they were like, okay. And then I hung up, and then I felt the relief that I felt when the guy picked it up, and I got to call back and go, just, hey, ignore all of this.
Yeah.
And then that's one of my,
that's so great. Like that's like the side of the like OCD stuff that like people don't see, like the loop of anxiety that it is to go, you see a bag, and like, first off, you're in a class of your own just by even thinking that was a bomb in the middle of a basketball court in the middle of Mason City, Iowa, in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Not a time that I think any bomber trying to accomplish anything would blow something up. But it could have been planned for the next morning.
That's what you want you to think.
That's what they want you to think.
You get complacent.
Yeah, yeah. And then you were like, that's sketchy enough that I'm going to report it. And then you report it. And then in the midst of that conversation, you go, what if they think I did it? And then you hang up out of fear. You hang up on the police, which is really funny. And then I don't know if anybody's ever called the police back.
to snitch on themselves.
To be like, by the way, my name is Josh Francis and I live on East Lane. and then you hung around and watched.
I got to the end of the park. If you know the park, if you're listening, I drove past the deer pen. There's a deer pen there, by the way, with deer. And then I went, oh, fuck. They could have. I was like, fuck. If it blows up when the guy's investigating it, he could like need help.
And then you have to be there to help him.
And then I have to be there to help him. So then I turned around, and then by that time, because the basketball park also has the court has like these little huts that like people like grill out. They have like grills and stuff. And the guy was just clearly probably sitting in that hut.
You just didn't see him,
and I just didn't see him because it was dark. And
God,
so then I realized
awesome.
that, and then I called them back, and I went, just ignore all of this. He just picked up the bag.
You at that age were the opposite of me. I was doing like vandalism type shit and being like getting caught. Like,
did you do graffiti ever?
No, I never did graffiti. So
cool.
There was a time, probably 16 or 17, probably 16 for the sake of embarrassment in this story, where we were ding dong ditching real heavy. When you're ding dong ditching and you have a getaway car, it really does take away some of the fun. But so
when you're ding dong ditching, you have a 5 o'clock shadow. That's crazy that you can grow facial hair and you're still like, ring his doorbell and run.
Like we were drinking and ding dong ditching. That's like so. But what we did is
that's classic.
We wanted to up the ante, so we went to CVS and we got a can of wet cat food. I don't know where this idea came from. I remember the friends I was with, but I don't remember why we wanted to do. So this random guy. Well, what it was is this guy, when we would ding dong ditch, he would come out and we would run. He lived on a street where the other side of the street was the park. And so we could disappear into the park, into the darkness, and watch him come out and look around and get angry. So we loved fucking with this guy specifically. So I think we wanted to just up the ante of like, how much can we piss this guy off? So we were like, surely throwing an open can of wet cat food at his screen door would do it. And so that's what we did. We ran away. He came out, got pissed, went back inside. We got in my car, which was down the street. And then we drove by the house probably 3 times just trying to look. And I remember the time I drove by, he was outside and I looked at him and we must have locked eyes while I was driving past him as if I was like, identify me. Like that's like, I just drove. And then I took my buddy home. And when I got back, police were at my house. And I was the only one there. So when I pulled up, drunk by the way, at 16, I got out and I was like, is everything okay? Because my parents were gone. So I was like, oh my God. And they were like, where you been? I was like, I just took my friend home. And they were like, you weren't down the street at all? And I was like, what do you mean down the street? And they were like, listen, they did the cop thing that works every time on a guilty white kid, where it's like, tell the truth now, you won't get in trouble. If you lie to us, we will make sure that you get in trouble. And I was like, I threw the cat food at the guy's door. Like I immediately cave. And then I had to go by myself. I drove down there again, drunk. They did not clock that at any point that I had 3 tall boys.
Hammered.
Hammered. I drove down there and I had to clean the cat food off of his door and off of his doorstep while he was just standing there. I remember he didn't say anything to me. He just stood on the other side of the glass door and watched me clean it up.
How old is he?
Probably. It had white hair, so 50s
Now,
or 60s.
what's the legality if he just starts jacking off?
He's like, I'm in my fucking house.
Yeah.
A man can't jerk off in his house? I've always wondered that too. Like, I've wondered, like, if I was having sex in, like, my backyard, but somebody could see into my backyard.
I feel like it's got to be illegal, right? To some capacity. Because you get in trouble for peeing in your backyard, right?
Yeah, but it's like it's private property, but also so is your front lawn, technically, and you can't do it out there.
Yeah.
Huh. ChatGPT.
ChatGPT this. Google.
I actually am curious what ChatGPT says about this.
Is it illegal to pee in your own or fuck in your backyard?
Yeah, like, is it illegal to be naked in your own backyard?
We had a neighbor growing up that used to. Okay, this is a fun dad story. We used to have a neighbor growing up that would sunbathe naked in the backyard.
Yeah.
And the dads of the neighborhood used to get the kids together to go and throw ice cubes on her while she was out bathing naked. Like she would be on her back, getting her bra, like the tan line out in the back, and then they would give us $5 to go drop ice on her back so she would stand up.
Your dad?
Every dad in the neighborhood. I mean, I'm talking like 12 dads.
This was in her backyard or front?
Backyard.
That's
the neighborhood was really
crazy.
close though, but like everybody was like,
crazy.
Julie's got a nice set. Indecent exposure.
Okay, so it's not like immediately illegal, but basically
This is the categories thing.
if it's visible, yeah. What is this bullshit categories answer?
What does visibility? If visibility is subjective.
Here's what it says though. Go back up a little bit more. Under Texas Penal Code. Hilarious.
Then it was written by Dr. Smallwood.
Yeah, a person commits indecent exposure if they expose their anus or genitals with the intent to arouse or gratify sexual desire and are reckless about whether another person is present who will be offended or alarmed by the act. So now, if I'm doing it, if I'm peeing, how can that? And my intent is not to arouse or gratify sexual desire.
You're
I'm
right.
just trying to piss.
Now, also, I do have a question about the wording of this because technically, anus is different than a buttocks. So, like, can you full moon somebody and that's not indecent exposure? But if you spread your ass cheeks open and show your asshole.
Yeah, like butt, like cheek is not
buttocks,
illegal. Hole is
the
illegal.
whole you showing hole on 5th Street. You're getting your ass is grass, buddy.
That's crazy.
Potential penalties. You have to spend the night.
Ew.
I used to try to do a joke about that when I was like brand new about cruel and unusual punishment. I was like, what did the first judge do that they were like, we can't have him doing that anymore. It's too cruel and unusual. It's like, all right, you're guilty of murder. You have to tickle me every night. Your sentence is tickling me every night. Tickling me until I tell you to stop every night.
That is funny.
Well, I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it for us. That was the Friendly Fire podcast. And here's the thing. Oh, somebody just commented on the podcast last episode. Oh, it was actually a positive comment. Sometimes when you get like bigger names, some people will be like, I'm convinced. One guy went, "Damn, these hosts suck," and then it was 3 minutes after the video went live with Sean and Cam, and I went, "Well, you don't even know us."
That's just a guy who wants to say some bad shit.
Yeah, and it hurt my feelings though.
Fuck him, and I hope he's watching this video. I hope he's this far into it, so I can tell you to go fuck yourself.
Yeah, and then suck on both of my balls. And then also, thank you guys for checking out the Friendly Fire podcast. We need you more than ever to comment and share and like and do all that fun stuff. And also, if you're an editor and you know how to edit clips and you want to do them for free, I got a proposition.
Free labor, baby.
Free labor. Here's the thing. Import, export. The China wins if you don't make these clips for us, because otherwise I'm going to send those fuckers to Indonesia to get made.
Bye.
Bye-bye.